It is not a good time to be Disney. The once unstoppable entertainment juggernaut is in a bit of a predicament. That's an understatement. Times are so tough, Dusty Rhodes would throw in the towel. There are many reasons the company is doing so poorly. They're embroiled in a battle with the state of Florida, their films are failing to reach a global audience, their streaming is losing subscribers, and they've let acquired brands like Marvel and Disney take a nosedive in quality. That's just a few of the reasons, but things are so bad, fans are hoping they'll sell off one of their most sought-after properties. But before we get into that, today's video is brought to you by our good friends at shopwcbs.com. It's summertime, it's getting hotter, but you have to wear something out in public, so why not wear something with style and class? World class, that is. So go to shopwcbs.com and get yourself an official WCBS t-shirt. There are dozens of choices designed by me, and all of our shirts are shipped and printed through Teespring, so you get their customer service, support, as well as the high quality each of their t-shirt carries. So go to shopwcbs.com right now to grab one of those, and since it's summer and it's so damn hot out, you might want something cool to drink. So why not drink that cool beverage out of an official WCBS pint glass? When you do, you'll become the fifth bullshitter. You can crack a cold one with us and spend your summer watching all the new world-class bullshitters content coming your way, including the return of good morning pop culture. So folks, you can click on those links below, get yourself an official WCBS piece of glassware, wear the t-shirt, and hang out with us all summer long. And now, back to the video. In 2012, the Walt Disney Company acquired Lucasfilm for just over $4 billion. Since the release of their first film, The Force Awakens, the fan base has been thoroughly divided, but it got much worse after The Last Jedi premiered in 2017. The release of that film was historically bad. It created an unfixable problem for Disney, as Star Wars was broken and the company responsible for producing it refused to fix it. Audiences did not like how Luke Skywalker was treated, and he became a bitter old beaten-down man. Beyond the portrayal of Luke, fans did not like the new characters, the plots that were similar to the original trilogy, and the overall lazy nature of the narrative. 2019's The Rise of Skywalker was the end of the Rey trilogy, which saw fans ditch the franchise in droves. Though that wouldn't be the end for Star Wars just yet. While The Mandalorian started out strong, it was not enough to keep Disney Plus subscribers enticed, as millions have left the platform this year alone, and interest in the upcoming offerings pique little interest. All of these factors have created a nightmare scenario where the only hope for Star Wars to succeed is to have it be sold to another company. Audiences have had enough of Disney Star Wars. This week there have been rumblings about a possible buyer for the alleged sale of the mega property, and that buyer is the original owner, George Lucas. This all stems from a rumor. 4chan credits Hollywood writer Cameron Pasha as the source of the rumor. Pasha states that his source claims Disney is planning to sell Lucasfilm and their IPs to potential buyers: Universal, Sony, Tencent, Lionsgate, Toho, and the Lucas estate. This comes as the list of failures grows under Kathleen Kennedy's tenure as president of the studio, and her leadership has come under fire after the following: low viewership of The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan. Shutdown of the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel. Low merchandise sales. Cancellation of Willow. Critical failure of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And the impending box office bomb. Add on the years of the Walt Disney Company failing to meet financial expectations at investor meetings due to the COVID shutdowns from last year, plus only having $200 million left in spending cash, plus not having made back the money on the purchase of 20th Century Fox, under contract to buy Hulu for $30 to $70 billion, plus losing billions from streaming, and you have a financially struggling company looking to sell off several assets to remain afloat, lest they get sold to Apple. Among rumors about breaking up Marvel, selling off sections of their park, Lucasfilm seems to be up for auction at a fraction of the cost it took for the company to buy from George initially. The mishandling of Star Wars under Disney is historic. No one could have foreseen this. While it's shocking, it's not the first time this has happened. In 2001, Disney paid $3.2 billion for the Power Rangers. Through their mismanagement of the brand, they sold it back to the original owner, Hayam Saban, for a minuscule $60 million. Fans are hoping this will be the same case, but that is very, very unlikely. While it is true that Star Wars has been ruined by Disney, the reason it was sold in the first place was very sound. Many have wondered why George Lucas sold it, and according to Lucas himself, it was all because of Vin Diesel's favorite word: family. At that time, I was starting the next trilogy. I talked to the actors and I was starting to gear up. I was about to have a daughter with my wife. It takes 10 years to make a trilogy. Episodes 1 to 3 took from 1995 to 2005, Lucas said. In 2012, I was 69 years old. So the question was, am I going to keep doing this for the rest of my life? Do I want to go through this again? Finally, I decided I'd rather raise my daughter and enjoy life for a while. I could have not sold Lucasfilm and gotten somebody to run it, but that isn't retiring. George Lucas's contributions to entertainment cannot be understated. Outside of the actual films he's made, his push to advance digital filmmaking is second to none. Modern filmmaking would not exist without George Lucas's contributions, but he's not buying back Lucasfilm, he's retired. This rumor stems from wish fulfillment. just like the rumor that Kathleen Kennedy would be fired. While it is justified to be this dissatisfied with Lucasfilm and their treatment of Star Wars, these persistent rumors have not come to fruition. Eventually, Kathleen Kennedy will leave Lucasfilm, that's inevitable, but it won't be because of these rumors. There's also another reason why this won't happen, a much more reliable one, and a financial renegade is weighing in on the topic, and it makes a lot more sense than the anonymous rumor. Disney, the entertainment conglomerate, has made quite a few bold attempts to bring its financial fortunes back to the black, including bringing back ex-CEO Bob Iger, laying off thousands of employees, and removing multiple titles from Disney Plus in exchange for tax write-off money. In fact, the rumor mill was even convinced that the House of Mouse was so desperate for a bit of change, they were about to let go one of its biggest franchises, Star Wars. Though according to Twitter user Valiant Renegade, there's no way that would ever happen simply because Star Wars isn't worth enough. A debate on Twitter started after a rumor about Disney selling Star Wars back to George Lucas was posted to help resolve the company's climbing debt. In October 2012, Disney made what would soon become the controversial decision to purchase Star Wars from Lucasfilm for a whopping $4 billion in exchange for the rights to create movies, TV series, attractions, merchandise, and other materials based on Lucas's characters and story. Now, just over 10 years after the big buy, Disney is facing an Everest mountain of debt with an estimated $48.4 billion in the red, with many observers thinking that the 4Bs Disney paid for the Star Wars brand might be looking pretty good to executives right now. However, Valiant Renegade was quick to point out, Disney already has a plan for getting back some of their moolah, and it doesn't include selling Star Wars, or even a theme park, not because they want to hold on to a galaxy far, far away, but because the franchise simply isn't worth enough to sell. Because Star Wars areas and Disney theme parks, even if the entertainment management found a buyer willing to buy the space fantasy franchise, Disney would end up even owing more money in residuals just to be able to keep the rides and attractions at Disneyland and Disney World. If Disney were to find a buyer willing to purchase the Star Wars franchise, it wouldn't be worth the $4 billion that Disney paid for it 11 years ago unless Disney was willing to demolish the Star Wars lands in both parks, which cost more than $1 billion to build. The fact that Disney would need to hold on to partial rights to keep the park means that the cost of the franchise would go down respectively, meaning that any profits Disney could make from the sale wouldn't even make a dent in the debt the company is trying to absolve. According to proactive investors, as of this year, Disney has made an estimated $1.3 billion off the Star Wars brand since buying the franchise from Lucas in 2012. While that's a fair chunk of change, that barely is even a quarter of how much the company purchased it for, meaning that if Disney did sell Luke Skywalker and all of his friends, they likely wouldn't make any money off the franchise at all, and it would probably end up being a total wash at best. So with all that in mind, we're betting Disney doesn't sell Star Wars simply because the franchise doesn't have enough value to make it worth it to Mickey and his best buddy Bob Iger. Instead, Disney will keep on with its current strategy of slashing series and laying off employees to try to do whatever it can to decrease the company's astronomical debt. Who would have thought it would get this bad for Star Wars? No matter what side you choose to believe, the truth is, people want Disney to lose Star Wars. Under them, the Star Wars films have been terrible, with budgets near $500 million, merchandise that can't sell to save its life, and TV shows that try to do so much and at the same time accomplish nothing at all. Star Wars is valueless to anyone else. Who would pay $4 billion to acquire exclusive streaming rights? There will never be another Force Awakens level film. It cost $447 million to make, and audiences were tired by the end of the trilogy. They're tuning out by the millions on Disney Plus, and realistically, there's nothing anyone can do to right the wrongs of Disney. So folks, what do you think about this? Here are your 3 questions for today. 1, do you believe Lucasfilm is going to be sold by Disney? 2, do you think Star Wars is even worth any money? And 3, what do you want to happen overall with the Star Wars brand? I don't want anything to happen. I'm burnt out. No more movies, no more TV shows, no more nothing. Maybe make some video games and toys forever. I'm okay with that. But I don't want to go see new Star Wars characters. I don't want to see more lightsabers, more Jedis who survived Order 66. It just diminishes everything that came before it. More. Well, the old adage is less is more, and I say less Star Wars is better for everybody because it hasn't been good in well over a decade. What do you expect from it because Disney doesn't own Lucasfilm? Remember, Lucasfilm is run by Kathleen Kennedy. For all the complaints that people have about Disney owning the property, she's in charge. So if the company goes to somebody else, she's more than likely going to stay in there because she's got power and pull in Hollywood. So all you're going to do is have another owner for the same lady to do whatever she wants. That's not going to change much. That's not going to entice audiences. And realistically, that won't fix Star Wars. Star Wars is damaged beyond repair. And folks, it's time to let Star Wars go. That sounds way too sad, doesn't it? But I believe everything else besides letting Star Wars go. Look, Star Wars will live forever in your hearts, your minds. You'll watch the movies, you'll share it with your children, their children, you'll play with the toys. Believe me, That version of Star Wars will never go away, but this new one fronted by Rey, Finn, and Poe, it never even really hit the way people claim it did. Once Han, Luke, and Leia weren't the main draw anymore, there went the money. There went the money. So folks, thank you for watching. I'll be back next time with more, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters, and there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.